Wow. Hi, everyone. Thanks for those that have already jumped on to the meeting. We're going to start in about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe to give some time to those that are straggling along to get in. But also, if at any time you have to leave, we will be sending out a recording. So don't hesitate to jump to something if it's really important for you to grab onto that, because you'll definitely have this in your back pocket later down the road, as well as something that you can share to your friends if you think that it's applicable to someone in their journey right now with their career. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Hi, all. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And for those of you that maybe needing to hop off a little early, don't worry, because we are going to be sending out a recording afterwards. And stay tuned to the very end if you are interested in being able to win a giveaway that Kit is going to be offering to all of those that have registered and come in to join us. So first off, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. So my name is Chloe Estelle McCall, and I'm over here at ReferralMob as the Growth Marketing Manager. For those of you who might not know, ReferralMob is a Boston-based company, and that helps job seekers find and land great opportunities, and they get paid for doing so. And so you can find out more. We have our website. It's www.referralmob/jobseekers. And today's webinar is led by Kit Pang. So he's a communication expert. He's TEDx and a keynote speaker, founder of BostonSpeaks, who participates with C-suite execs and thought leaders to develop their professional brands through the power of storytelling and public speaking. He believes influencers and thought leaders must know and understand how to share their purposeful message while growing and nurturing a community. And that's because it's behind the why of what they do. And Kit's on a mission to help individuals become exceptional communicators and leaders. So to be able to kick this off, let's run through a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Make sure if you have like your microphone or your video on, if you can just make sure that that's turned off. Also, what we're going to do is walk through, and if you have any questions that are coming up, at the very end, we're going to have a live Q&A, and you can submit them via the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and then we'll take as many as we can if we haven't answered them. And last but not least, we're also, like I said, going to be emailing the video after the event, so be sure to check your email for a follow-up, and it can also provide some additional insights to things that we have going on and how ReferralMob here, we really like to be able to provide you guys with career tools and advice to make you guys stronger in your work journey. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to end the suspense by inviting Kit to take over. Kit, thank you so much for coming in today. It's really a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Chloe. I just want to say thank you so much for welcoming me here and have me on this webinar, and for ReferralMob as well. I'm excited. Usually when I teach workshops or I give webinars, I'm usually the most excited person. So for those who are tuning in right now, either you are watching live or you are watching the replay of this, I hope you are excited. And like what Chloe said earlier, we are all strapped for time nowadays. If you can please put away that cell phone just for these next 30 minutes to 45 minutes, because you are spending the time here to invest in yourself, which I applaud. It's very hard for us just to spend time and just learn when we're always going and running, right? So if you can just put your cell phone away, so you can just take down your notes. If you don't have paper and pen, get some right now. Or if you like to chat, or type it in the chat box to see what you learn, and you can verify that too, same exact thing. So we can go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Kit Pang. I'm the founder of BostonSpeaks. And at BostonSpeaks, we really want to help you discover the power of communication so that you can learn how to sell yourself, how you can be better at job interviews. Because the better that you can communicate, the better that people can find you more attractive, either if it's an employer or your client, right? So let's get into it today. The title again is How to Sell Yourself. And if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to put them in the chat box. And if you are listening to the replay of this, I'm sorry, but you can find us later. So again, the framework of what we're going to do today, I'm just going to go over very briefly, is current analysis. Where are you right now? Because have you heard of, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, right? So you have to know where you're at, because again, like I said earlier, we are always going to the next meeting, to the next job interview, without reflecting of where we are right now and what we're doing. Second thing I want to talk about is what's your professional image. basically what's your image of yourself, how others see you, and how your employees see you. So we'll be discovering that a little bit later. The big buzzword is how to become a good storyteller. Storytelling is such a big buzzword because you can talk to people's hearts and you can connect with them that way. We'll be going over how you can become a good storyteller. Later on, we'll be talking about how you can learn how to listen and show. Nowadays, sometimes we just talk too much, but we don't know how to listen. And here's the thing, when I ask people, what's the difference between hearing and listening? You know what? Most people cannot answer that. I will answer that question for you a little bit later. So how can you listen and show what you are worth? And then at the very end, we'll go through a live Q&A. So we want to answer any questions that you might have. So let's get right into it. The current analysis. So if you have a piece of paper that's out right now, or if you have Microsoft Word on your computer, or even, I'm going to say, okay, even if you're on your smartphone, you can type in your notes. I really want to dive into right now, where are you now and what is your brand? So, on the slide, you can say, what are you now? So basically, do you know, if you're listening to this, why are you here? What I mean by that is, if you're going for a job interview, what kind of goals do you have? You can write some of these things now. Take a look into your life right now and just notice, where are you now? What are you now? What is your brand? So the typical situations that I have seen, for example, if I am talking to someone who is going into a job interview and I'm asking them, why do you want to search for a new job? Why do you want to go into this interview? Or even if I'm talking to people who are coaches and they want to network better, they want to sell their material or their service better, sometimes they don't know what brings out the best in them, right? So I really want to ask you right now to jot down some notes for yourself. What do you think brings up your best skill set or your current analysis? So if, for example, if you are not looking into yourself, think of you are someone else looking into your life right now. What current situation are you in? Okay, some of you like to plan, right? What kind of situation are you in right now? What kind of things are you going through? You can even say right now, I am looking for a job in X, Y, and Z field.
Yeah.
I am looking for more clients. I'm looking for 20 clients. Or if you want to go into a networking situation, you might be thinking, right now I'm on this webinar because I want to learn how to sell better. But when I go to networking events, I don't know how to promote myself.
Right.
I'm going to say be realistic.
And so I think the main point of this current analysis, and we'll move on to the how to really deep dive, is putting yourself in the mindset of how this is going to be applicable to you, because we're going to be giving you a framework on really how to take the advice that's coming down the pipeline for you now, and make sure that it fits your needs.
Yeah. And basically, when I say what is your brand, have you noticed when you talk to, either if you see people online, I'm not sure if you've bought a class online before, or if you see someone in your local community, or even Obama, right? We all have a brand. What is your brand? What I mean by this is, for example, if you mention Tony Robbins, how would you think of Tony Robbins? Chloe, how would you think of Tony Robbins? You know Tony Robbins? She does not know Tony Robbins. Okay. So Tony Robbins is someone who is motivational. So think of a motivational speaker. I would think of Tony Robbins or a motivational speaker as someone who has a lot of energy. The way they dress is very professional. They're not in jeans. And at the same time, they have a lot of charisma. So that can also be your brand, right? So what kind of brand do you have? That's your current analysis at the same time. What kind of brand do you want to bring forth? Or right now, if you want to write this down, what do you think your brand is? So for example, what I think my brand is I like to bring energy. I like to offer value. And at the same time, when people think of me, I want to think of the word fun and comfortable. So that's what I want to bring my brand across. So if people can see that and they can feel that during a job interview, or during when they meet with you at a networking event, or if they are your prospective clients meeting with you, they will get a different sense of you. So we're gonna.
And what would you say are the 3 main takeaways that are successful additions for any brand, for anyone like that is going in for an interview, or trying to rescope who they are and presenting themselves? If you had to suggest, who would you say? Or what would you say? Would you say a one to definitely have is to align yourself with someone that's approachable, or I know later on we'll be talking about being a good listener. So like those 3 maybe, what would you?
Chloe, that's a great question. The 3 things I would say to have a good brand and to know yourself is consistency. If your job interviewer or someone that met with you for the first time see you this way, if they meet you again, will you be the same way in what you offer? Whatever you offer, for example, the way you speak, the way you offer your ideas. The second thing is, are you authentic to your brand? Are you faking it? Is this something that you're just putting on just because you want to, fake it? But is it really you, right? So your consistency, are you currently doing these things? They can also see it through your Facebook, right? People will look you up on social media. They can see if you have been consistent with whatever you're saying. And at the same time, are you authentic? When people research you online or when they see you, they say, hey, is this person just being you? And the third thing about knowing your brand is, do you know what you represent? I'm going to say what I'm saying right now, your current analysis, do you know who you are?
And when you do that, like you would probably want to always be walking in like as like an expert, right? In whatever position you're applying for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But here's the thing, you can even be an expert. Sometimes people, it depends on how good of an expert you are. Sometimes people like to give unsolicited advice. So if you even say you're an expert, are you a good listener? I want to touch upon that a little bit later. And yeah, consistency, authenticity, and knowing who you are. That's right, Margie.
Yeah. So that's great. So let's move on to the next one. Because honestly, like all of these are so rich that to be able to get through them all, we'll just kind of buzz this one.
So we're going to talk about what's your image. So early on, I just told you to write down some things about yourself. We're going to go into a deeper dive into it. So you know how sometimes we think we are doing something and in reality that might not be true. For right now, what I mean by that is I want you to take a deeper dive. Do you think your perfect image of yourself? I want you to get other people's mindsets away from you. If you can be your perfect self, and if you are looking at the screen right now, you see the little kid on the right. He might want to be a professional, so he's dressing up like a professional. What's your perfect image of yourself? So what I mean is, if you were to ask me this question, I would say my perfect image of myself is that I want to come off being knowledgeable. I want to be comforting. At the same time, I want to be able to connect with you and work really easily with my clients and be professional at the same time. So that's my image that I want myself to come across. What is your image? So if you are writing down on a piece of paper or whatever you are taking notes, what's your perfect image of yourself? Chloe, what's your perfect image?
So for me, I think when it comes, because I just, think that it's important to always convey that you have a goal when you're in that interview. And that goal is in line with the company's goal to make sure that you match. So being very methodical in what you're doing so they know that you're thoughtful, going into it being receptive to hearing what they're looking for and making sure that you're honest. Like you were saying, it's like those are pillars that are really awesome that if you can keep in mind and always kind of strive to maintain alignment with, then they're going to tell that you're genuine.
Yeah, exactly. And when I say image too, it's also how you are dressing. Your image of yourself on the outside and on the inside, right? On the outside, before I started giving keynote talks and started my own company, I used to be a dancer. And the clothes that I would wear were ripped jeans and I did not look too professional, but I did look like a dancer. So if people were to come up to me, they would see me as a dancer, right? They would not associate me with being a business professional because they can see my image that way. Let's say you are the president of the United States. Do you know what people will judge you on before you open your mouth? How you wear your clothes, right? From the color of your tie, the color of your blouse, whatever that you wear on your hair, people will judge you based on your image. There has been scientific proof that people judge you on the first 7 seconds that they see you, no matter if it's what you say or even if they see you. Because if you go to a grocery store, right, and if you pick an apple, how do you pick an apple? You pick an apple because it's not too bruised, and it's not, nowadays it's not too shiny, but we based how we pick the apple by the cover. So we judge a book by its cover. People judge you by the cover. And when I mean cover, I also mean this: your mindset, your body language, and also your vocal variety at the same time, right? So that's your image. These are the things that many of us don't put so much attention to it. But what's the perfect image for yourself on the outside and on the inside? How do you want people to see you dressed? How do you want people to see you on the inside? This is more of a feeling. So write down some of these things. Maybe you can write down 3 to 5 bullet points. What's your perfect image of yourself? And then next thing is we want to talk about what's your image from the view of your friends and other people. Here's an exercise that you can do right now. If you're on your smartphone, if you are listening to me, or even if you can do this after the interview, is basically you can go on Facebook, or you can even ask a friend, okay? So you can go on Facebook right now and ask, you can say this: I'm looking to work on my professional image. What qualities do you think are really good about me? Or you can say, I'm working on my professional image. What do you think about me? What are 1 or 2 words that you will use to describe me? Right? So you can go on your social media, you can go to your friends, you can go to your family members, you can even go to your co-workers. So right now, you can write down some things if people want to ask you, right? How do you see me if I go into X, Y, and Z situation? What do you think about me that brightens up your day? What's your image of me? How do I come across, and what kind of words will you use to describe me? Because the first thing that we said is, look, I think I want to be professional. I want to connect with people. I want to be friendly. I want to be fun. But if you really ask people, and this is the only time that you will know, and they say, Kit, you're not fun. You are just boring. I'm going to say that's a reality check, right? You might be fun, but you are kind of corny. Now, I'm not saying all these bad things, but maybe people will say, hey, you are really good at connecting with people. You are really good at listening. So you also have to take other people's viewpoints of yourself. Because let's say I teach public speaking. Whenever someone is thrown off topic, do you know what they do? They move some part of their body that they do not know what they're moving. So this is on the inside and on the outside too. You can say, hey, are there some things that I currently do that you notice that I do a lot? Because your body is also talking. So for example, my wife says this to me all the time. Whenever I get frustrated or stressed, I don't notice it, but you know what she says? She says, Kit, you are slamming things on the table. You're just putting things down and it's not light anymore. And here's the thing. I don't think I'm stressed. I think I'm okay. But she can tell, Kit, you are doing something with your body. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a really good thing to touch on. So whenever you're in an interview, these are things that you're gathering. This is the type of information that you're gathering prior to the interview, but actually in the interview, understanding and taking that, and then for you, you would be really mindful to, make sure that you don't have a pen within your reach, learning who you are so you know how to control what others typically have seen as negative behavior for you, and be able to be really cognizant that you can't have that bleed into your actual interviews.
And exactly, Chloe, that's basically one of the big themes of today is knowing yourself. I know the title is How to Sell Yourself, but here's the thing. If you don't know yourself, how can you sell yourself? Whenever you sell a product or whenever you sell a service, You have to know it in and out, right? And here's the thing. You are your biggest product. You are your biggest service, right? But here's the thing. If you don't know what you bring to the table, and if you don't know what other people are actually saying about your product, how you know if it's really working? Businesses, if they have products, they will test it in and out before they sell it to the whole wide world, because they want to see what's the perfect vision of this product, or what do people want at the same time. So Chloe, going back to one of your points, is these are the things that you practice prior to your interview, because like any presentation or job interview or client meeting, you know what we do nowadays? We don't plan in advance. We just go to the next meeting, we go to the next job interview, and sometimes we wing it. I have a good friend. He is a basketball coach, and he used to work with the highest NBA stars. So if you're listening, you might know who Kobe Bryant is. So he was working with Kobe Bryant, and they was just finishing up a game, and they won. So later that evening, Kobe was still at the, in the court practicing. So he went up to Kobe and he said, "Kobe, it's it's almost midnight. Why are you still here practicing?" And Kobe said to him, "Well, that's why I'm still number one, because I'm practicing my foundations.
Yeah.
When I know it so good in and out, I can go in the court knowing what to do, and I can think even more." Same thing with you. If you are listening right now, are you practicing your fundamentals, which is in your communication skills, for example? Specifically, I'm talking about your image. Do you know how you're coming across? Because if the first thing that we talked about is how do you want to see your perfect self? If you want to say, I want to be a people connector, are you working to be a people connector? And are you connecting people? Are you working on these things every single day that you can work towards? If people say you are really friendly, take that with a grain of salt, but also realize that you have this great attribute to yourself. So do you know what you are working on daily to help you contribute to your professional success? The thing too is, nowadays we can go on Google, we can go on YouTube, and we can look up anything that we want in an instant, right? The thing is too, I want to say the things that you wrote down and the things that you want to practice are your fundamentals.
So that's like, I think, sorry to interject, I think it's like, when you're reaching out to your friends, like, what are your fundamentals? Like asking them, like, what are really my key strengths that you think I bring to the table? What are the weaknesses that you think I can work on?
Mm-hmm.
And you ask those questions by reaching out to them on LinkedIn, reaching out to them on Facebook, asking them for a coffee, to provide them the opportunity to do it comfortably or maybe on their own time.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the practicing part with the Kobe, it just automatically made me think, it's beneficial to sit down with your friend and even kind of walk through that interview with them and allow them to critically, provide feedback.
Yeah, exactly. That brings us to the next point too. Now, you're getting a lot of information today, but what are you going to do with this information? You have to think about that, right? By the time you end this webinar, what are you going to do? You might just go back to your social media, but you have to do something with it. Even if you end with, okay, I'm going to write down what I'm good at. I'm going to ask other people about what I'm good at. If you can keep on doing that on a consistent basis, do you know how better you can develop yourself just by doing that, right? The next thing we want to talk about is, what's your image from the people who pay you? Now, if I want to work with my clients, or if I'm going to a job interview, let's reverse this. Let's say you want to find a fitness coach, right? What's your ideal image of a fitness coach? For me, I want someone who can hold me accountable. I want to see someone who is exercising too. I don't want someone who's, out of shape. I want someone who fits the image, and I want someone who is very easy to work with. So, what's your image do you think that your employers or your clients want of you?
Like, have you been up to date on the newest news that's going on within your industry? Being able to name drop certain types of, news articles that are really, relative to the discussions and that company. Like, have they had any major shifts? It's really smart to also go through and do a little Google search. It takes 5 minutes, if that's all you have before the interview, to really see, okay, did they recently get funding? Did they have a CEO step down?
Mm-hmm.
You know, have
Mm-hmm.
they rebranded recently? Have they adopted a new client that was probably really exciting for them? You know, and providing them background on themselves allows them to feel comfortable that you are up to speed with what's going on with them.
Yeah, you have to know what they're dealing with too, because if you have your own business, right, and someone comes to you and they know exactly what's going on in your organization, they have so that you have they've done the research. But also too, I'm going to say, if you are the business owner and you're trying to hire someone, is what do you want your employees to feel and look like? Because the most important thing I'm going to say about a job interview is sometimes not your skills. There's sometimes it's everyone's resumes are the same, but your vibe attracts your tribe, right? People want to see if you can fit into the culture. So if, for example, if I have a company and you work for me, I want you to be very flexible. I want you to be a people person. I want you just to have fun. So that's my image of the perfect you, right? Now, you might be thinking, I'm not that fun. I'm more, I like to be behind the scenes. I mean, that's great too, but you have to see what your employer or the person that's hiring you, what their perfect image is of you, right? Any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, that's right on line with me.
So becoming a storyteller.
And this is my favorite part about this whole thing. So,
and actually, Chloe doesn't know it, but I want to ask her to do an exercise with us.
Sure,
right
yeah,
now.
let's do it.
To become a good storyteller, you have to do two things. You have to give a time and a place, and it goes into story mode. That's it. So I'm going to say that again. To tell a story, to say a time and a place. The other day, I was at the fire station. Yesterday, I was walking in the pond. Today, I went on the train and I saw this person, whatever it is. That's the difference between, I'm going to describe something and going into story mode. So there are three types of stories that you can tell. Personal stories about yourself, stories about others or friends, and a case study. So let's dive into this a little bit more deeper. Before we get into it, actually, there has been research that has been done from Obama to Martin Luther King to all these great speakers of why they inspire and motivate people. And they broke it down this way. 65% comes from emotional appeal, and that's storytelling, talking to people's hearts, connecting with them. 25% is on logical appeal, facts, details, PowerPoints, etc. So you have 65% stories, emotional appeal, 25% logical appeal, and then we have, if you can do your math, I can't do my math, but I've been saying this too much, there's 10% left. 10%, what do you think that is? Let us know in the chat box, or if you are listening to the replay right now, what do you think that is? So 65% emotional, 25% logical. So the last 10% is on your credibility. What you have done, even if people are going to give an intro about you, your resume, but you can also build in your credibility when you tell your story. So I want to work on this method. It's called Communication Foundation, called PREP, P-R-E-P. The P stands for point, the R stands for reason, the E stands for example, and the P stands for point. Yesterday, I was actually working with a client. We were getting him ready for a job interview. He's a great person, but one of the things that he kept on doing was, here's what I'm good at. And then he gave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different reasons of why he's good at something. Now, what happens when you give too many reasons? It becomes too dry, right? And people will forget the third or fourth reason that you gave. That's why sometimes if you want to be coherent, just give a few reasons and then back that up with the story. Because when you back that up with a story, people just get compelled more. But what happens when you tell a story for the whole time, your sob story, I'm going to say for 10 minutes, people will say to you, well, what's your point? What's your reasoning? Why are you still talking to me about this? So PREP, this is a good foundation to use in a job interview when your clients are asking you questions, or even if you have to speak off the cuff. So again, the P stands for point. We're going to go through a demonstration. The R stands for reason. The E stands for example, and the P stands for point. So Chloe is going to give me a topic, and then I'm going to randomly give her a topic so she can try it too. So Chloe, give me something you can give me an interviewing question. You can give me a one word. Give me something.
Why is networking so valuable to you?
So the point is, networking is so valuable because it can help you. If you are a business owner, it can help you know more people and grow your business. As an interviewee, if you're looking for a job, you can meet more people who know other people that might be hiring. So when you network more, it's so crucial because it helps you be in the right place and helps you find more people. So for example, the other day I was at a networking event. Well, actually I was teaching at a networking event. And one girl said, right now I'm looking for a job in graphic design. And she asked, does anyone know anyone who might be hiring? Now, the fact is, she said this out loud. Now all of us, there were 30 of us in the room, we said, hey, actually 3 people said, I'm going to give you my card, let's connect later. So that's why networking is so crucial to help you grow your business, and it's crucial for you as an interviewee if you are finding a job, because it can put you in touch with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
So point, reason, example, point.
Exactly.
Chloe, should I ask you? Or
sure, yeah, go ahead.
Basketball. Something different, but sometimes you have to do something different. Basketball.
So basketball, why is it important?
The point. No, your point.
Oh, the point of basketball? The point of basketball is to
Here's the thing. Most people know. Here's the thing. Some people say, what's the difference between a point and a reason? And this foundation is so crucial to understand, because if you understand this, you can improvise it afterwards. The point is your opinion. God is real. God is not real. That's your point. And the reason is you're using details or facts or something to back that up.
Mm-hmm.
And then example, you go into the other day, the time and place.
Got it.
So basketball, now you go off of.
Basketball is for entertainment. Yeah. And the reason is because that's what sports do. And the example is that it brings all of my friends together, and nobody really does basketball like only for like usually like, you know, gambling or whatever. It's like, it's for fun. It's for entertainment. So that's why basketball is that.
Yeah, that's it. So if someone asks you, hey, and you drop into
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one.
I think because, you know, like the framework, you're thinking about like, you know, like.
It's the framework, but also it's your mindset, right? Mm-hmm. Some people will say, hey, basketball is a great sport because I can exercise. Last summer, I was playing basketball all day long. That's why basketball is a great sport. Whatever it is.
Right.
You know how sometimes people ask you questions, they don't listen all the way because they can't remember all the answers that you give. So think of it as a mindset and as a framework that you can go off of. If you are at a job interview, someone asks you, well, what's your weakness? You can say, reason. I'm going to bet you sometimes you forget to tell a story. Sometimes people think I'm not a good storyteller. So if you think you're not a good storyteller, you know what happens? You won't have any stories. The best speakers, you know what they do? They tell any story from their lives and they make it a good story. Their personal story, a story about a friend, or a case study. So if you want to become a good storyteller, you can use this prep method in almost in every single day situation. Because if you tell a story, you want to back it up with a point. And then if you want to quantify this and become a good storyteller, just use this foundation and see how many stories you can just come off of on the spot, right? So those are some good ways to takeaways for becoming a good storyteller.
Nice. And then we have a few minutes, so we'll run through this so that way we can make sure we get to any live questions that we have and some submitted questions too.
We want to talk about listening. One of the things that I've learned with speaking is that speaking might impress your audience right now or when they're watching the replay, but the people that you care about or matter most to you about in life, they care about how well you listen, right? If you're talking to Warren Buffett right now and he's looking on his cell phone, you will think that I don't mean anything. I'm like a nobody. But if Warren Buffett, if you're talking to him and he turns both his feet to you and he's looking right at you and he's not even saying anything, he's just showing that he's listening, doesn't that show you that he's giving you respect? So listening is one of the best ways to know how to sell yourself. And it's the number one skill that most salespeople say you have to master. And I'm going to say it's one of life's most powerful skill, because if I don't know how to listen to what you want, how can I sell to you? If I don't know that, look, let's say you're hungry, right? You might want Japanese food, or you might want pizza. If you say Japanese food, I might say, hey, there's a good Japanese restaurant down the street. I'm listening to what you are giving already. So if you're at a job interview, you can even ask them questions. For example, you can ask them, what are you looking for in this candidate? They may ask you, we are looking for someone who is a team player. We are looking for someone who knows how to just work by themselves. So you can demonstrate these through your stories and the past examples that you have given. If you are working with the client, you can ask the client, well, what are you looking for with my help? They might be saying, I am looking for accountability and someone that can help push me. So you have to actively listen. And that's one of the first things to show that you're listening. Use the words that the other person is using. And I usually show this through an exercise. Me and Chloe are going to do it right now. She just doesn't know it. It's called the waterfall exercise. And you can do this throughout the day. So later on, try this with someone and they don't know that you're doing it. The waterfall exercise is this. I'm going to say something. Chloe is going to pick one word from something that I said and say something with that word in her sentence, her next sentence. So for example, if I say, hey, I had a smoothie for breakfast. So you can say, oh, smoothies, I love making smoothies. Usually I put X, Y, and Z in it, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to vibe off of her and use one of her words that she used in her sentence. This way, so I'm picking out the certain words that she's using. So you want to give it a try? Maybe
sure.
We can put this in a job interview or a client meeting.
Yeah, let's do that.
You go first. Anything.
So coming into this, do you think that it's important to be able to work in group functions, or do you think that it can be okay to be completely an independent worker?
Yeah. Well, coming into this job position, since you mentioned working together or working independently, well, what do you think works best for your culture?
In our company, for us, our culture is very big on being able to be flexible and working in groups, because collaboration really breeds a lot of the innovative thoughts that make our company thrive.
Yeah. And that's one thing I love about working in big companies such as like yourself. I love it when people work in groups, like you mentioned, that we thrive, because I really believe that when we work together in groups, we can communicate more and we can just help each other expand our ideas. So that's an example.
That's awesome. Yeah. So feeding off of each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second way is empathetic listening. So while Chloe was saying that, she might feel a certain way. Now we're not just listening to the words anymore. We're listening to how that person really feels. So right now, if that person, right, if your client, if the person that you're talking to might be saying something, but you can see their body language, or I'm just going to say this. When you're sad or angry, aren't the words that you're using just vehicles to express how you feel, right? So empathetic listening is really listening to how that person feels. And this is so hard because we're trying to dig deep into, okay, we're saying stuff, but actually, how are they feeling, right? Maybe the job interviewer might be just asking you questions because she wants to go to lunch. She wants to, hey, let's finish this up. I have a lunch meeting. You might say, maybe you want to make your answers more quick. So that's empathetic listening, knowing how to listen to the heart and what they're really feeling. So if you can do active listening and empathetic listening, I'm going to say that's true listening, both listening to the words that they use and if the words that you can repeat, and also knowing how they feel. So if I'm talking to someone who feels really sad, right, I'm going to say, know that they're sad and just acknowledge that, and also listen to the words that they use so you can go back and forth. Any thoughts on that, Chloe?
No, that sounds good to me. Yeah.
So if you want to be the solution, how can you be the solution? You have to know what they are talking about and what they want, right? So my problem can be completely different from you. Why are you on this webinar right now? No, really, why are you listening to this webinar or right now? Because maybe you are trying to get new clients, but you don't know how to land clients and make the sale. Maybe you're going from job interview to job interview and you are not landing that job. for me to be a solution for you, I have to know exactly what your pain points are. If I don't know what your pain points are, how can I talk to you about what you need? So if you want to be the solution, you have to listen and then show through the stories that you can tell your experience, and then you can describe the perfect image that you want to show across. So, like, for example, if you want to, let's say, hire someone to be a fitness coach for you, and you tell them, I need accountability. I know what to do, but I just need accountability. So your fitness coach will say, hey, I can give you accountability. How do you want me to give you accountability? And how do you want me to work with you? You can ask them all these things. They will tell you more and more and more. And then that's why listening is such a crucial part to being able to sell yourself, because you listen to what they are saying, then you give them directly what they want back through your stories and through your examples, through your reasoning. And you have to put a point to this, right? The point that I would love to get across to you is I can be your fitness coach because I'm the person that will give you accountability day in and day out, right? So you have to listen to them to know exactly what they want, and that's how you can become the solution.
That's awesome. So I feel like we got a lot of good nuggets in there of just takeaways. You know, a lot of this is asking yourself, because you're the only one that can really cultivate what brand you are. But doing the things like using the prep method is a great way that you can immediately walk into a situation and have a good framework on how to achieve a successful interaction. And then making sure that you are genuine is another recap that I think was super important.
Authentic. Yep.
Being authentic. Being a good listener. So allowing them to feel as if you are in there to learn what they need and who they are, and not shying away from asking questions.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because you don't have to be fearful that they're going to be offended, that you want to know more about them. You know, of course, people love to talk about themselves, so don't forget that. That's a good tool for you to also gain some extra seconds when you need to be thinking about how you're going to respond to them. You know, if they give you a question that's pretty difficult. So thank you so much, Kat. I'm actually going to scoot us back to the front because I did gloss over this. So if you are looking for a job, you can look on ReferralMob.com because we post Boston jobs all the time, great local companies. And when you go on, you can find jobs and be able to get a hiring bonus. And then if you currently aren't looking, but you know a friend that is, you can invite them to join the platform. And we even have a referral bonus that is really easy for somebody if they just want to earn a little extra cash as like a side hustle, or, you know, it's just like a thank you if you help your friend find a job, because that's awesome.
Yeah, and I just want to say, they are not paying me to say this, but you know, when something is good, you just want to tell other people about it, whatever that is, a restaurant, a club, your friend. ReferralMob is one of these things that are really good because it's a win-win situation from both sides. You can help your friend and you can win money.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Kat. I appreciate it.
Really? and purple.
It's true, though.
It's purple.
It's so true.
What's the brand color? Is it purple?
Yeah.
Purple is a good color.
It is.
Yes.
It also now kind of leads us into having to jump into questions just because we've gone a little bit over. So thank you for your patience, everyone. And I hope that we covered on some really important topics for you. So one of the questions that was submitted, it was from Jim, and he wanted to, know like, how do you not appear salesy? How do you avoid that when you're working on self-promotion? What's a tactic that you can utilize? Is it like making sure that you say, I value this, instead of saying, I am the best? Like, I value, and then naming characteristics that would make you the best. Like, I am methodical, I am thorough, I am quick on my feet. What kind of things would you suggest people to do actively to not appear salesy?
Many people say, I don't want to appear salesy. I'm going to say again, your vibe attracts your tribe. It's not, I can be fun, you can be fun, I don't have to be fun. I'm going to say this, if you want to be salesy, that's a characteristic. It's not neither good or bad, you can be. There are people who They just want to sell and they want to make money. And they say to themselves, I'm the best salesperson ever. And they do a killer job, right? And they like sales so much, they know how to go in and out. Let's say I don't want to be too salesy. Ask yourself the question of, why don't you want to be salesy? What is it that makes you uncomfortable about being salesy? Is it promoting yourself? There's something that's often holding you back from being salesy. But I'm going to say again, if you are authentic, if you just want to give value to the other person, that's going to come across as, I'm not being salesy. For example, if I really want to help you be a better interviewee or knowing how to land more clients, I just really want to help you. In return, you have to offer some money. But I'm not going to say it that way. But at the same time, people can feel your value that you want to give off. If I want to say, hey, just work with me, just pay me $1,000, and you don't feel that value or that care that I give to you, then I'm going to say people can sense the sales side of you. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a good salesperson and being salesy, because if you say that you don't want to be too salesy, sometimes you need to learn more about sales.
I think, yeah, because for me, what I'm hearing is value is super important to convey. Like, you're going to sound salesy if you're not demonstrating how you're providing them value before pitching the price or that you come with an obligation to them, or for them. So yeah, that's
well, I'm gonna say you can be salesy. There's a Facebook video that I saw. The guy went up to sell window cleaners. He was a salesperson. He kept the person that came in the door for at least 30 minutes. They put this on viral YouTube video. He was selling and selling and selling. And the person that was just watching, they're like, we love what you're saying. We love your sales skills. They were just buying his products just because he wanted to sell. He was so good at it.
That viral one. He squirts, it looks like Windex into his mouth. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so another question that we had, Kelsey, this is like a two-part question. So wanting to explain employment gap. So if you have an employment gap, like, how do you sell yourself, like, beyond any of the kind of, like, complications employers could be inferring based upon that, that you could be giving, like, oh, does this person lack immediate experience within this field? Or, was there an issue that they're not telling us about? Like, how do you overcome employment gaps? And then also a way that people can explain maybe when a reference source is not responding. Say you spent a long time at another company and now they're not returning reference calls. I know that's really tricky if you maybe didn't leave and on the best terms, How can you kind of...
To answer the first question is, how can you explain employment gaps? I think this question is related to what's your weakness in a way. Let's say you got fired from your past job. Is explaining some weakness that you have. So when they ask you, what's your weakness, or why do you have this employment gap? Why did you get fired? Maybe why you're not working anymore? Do you know how to twist your weakness into one of your strengths? Again, we all have different weaknesses and we all have different reasons of why we maybe left that job. Maybe you left that job because it wasn't the right culture fit for you. That could be one of your weaknesses. You love to work with people, and the weakness or why I left my job is because the people that worked with me, they didn't really like the culture vibe. I felt that it was that no one wanted to get together, that no one wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and it just wasn't right for me as my culture. And since I was doing more of what I wanted to do, they saw that I didn't fit into the culture. Yeah. That's why. Now, here's the thing. You have to tie it back to your client. You have to tie it back to the person that's interviewing you. And you can say, for now, that's why I'm interested in working for you and working with you, because your company or you really value this. You really value team culture. So how can you turn your weakness into a strength and give it back to whoever you're talking to? Does that help?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a really hard thing to navigate because sometimes, you're worried about maybe like bad mouthing your employer before, but as long as you're doing it where it's just ensuring, you know, there were match differences, you know, they wanted one thing, and for me, I needed fulfillment in another way.
Yeah.
And, you know, just then, you know, how you were bringing it back to the employer that you're interviewing with, you know, highlighting how you really see them doing things differently in a good way, you know? So like, for example, my other company, you could say, didn't like to promote internally. And so I had to leave because it was difficult for me to continue that. And there were a lot of responsibilities that I was doing. So, you know, it was hard for me to end that relationship, but I really wanted to try one here with you because I know that you guys are fantastic at enriching people's, you know, careers and making sure that they have opportunities to grow. So yeah,
exactly.
As you said, that's the same kind of
to
thing.
answer the second part of that question now is, what if my what's the word? The second part, I forgot that word. Let's what is that word? Not referrals. Starts with an R. The second part of that question. I'm just missing that word.
References.
References.
Yeah,
references. What if your references don't get back to you? I'm gonna say, if you are asking for references, first please ask them if they can write a reference for you. Don't just plop their name down and think of, hey, that person's going to write a reference for me. Ask them first, and if they don't get back to you, check back in with them. But also, if you are going for job interviews, I'm sorry, but you might not get your next job interview, and you might not land that job. Land down a few people who will give you references and have them in the list, and they say yes. So thank you for those questions, Chloe. I do want to say, I do have a special announcement for you. I would love to offer anyone that's watching right now, I'm going to say the first person, if you would like to text me, 857-753-8211, I would love to give you a free coaching session. For the people who are not first, I would still like to give you a 30-minute free consultation with me. So the first person that would like to text me at 857-753-8211, let's do a 1-hour private session. Again, I would love to help you out. 857-753-8211. You can just say, well, put your name down, say that you got this from ReferralMob, and if you are watching this on the replay or listening to this later, say the exact same thing. I respond pretty quickly. You can find more about me at BostonSpeaks.com. I just want to thank you all today for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you so much, because I think there's so much value here. Everyone, thanks for coming and tuning into the webinar. And I'm really excited to see who ends up getting this free branding session. And we'll follow up with an email later for everybody with the video. And we'll be keeping in touch for new webinars that are going to be touching on different pain points within your career search journey. And you know, Kit, thank you so much for lending your experience to us today.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.